Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel. We're back at Auto Shack, and this week we are lucky enough to have a pair of RS estates. We've got this absolutely stunning B7 RS4 and this C5 RS6. The RS4 is a 2006 and has covered just 34,000 miles. It has never been to another garage except for main dealer Audi. This is the first time it's been to any independent. The owner has seen my videos and knew it'd be in safe hands. So this week, even though it's only done 34,000 miles, my job on this is a full service and a carbon clean. Even though the mileage is still low, we have seen these carbon up just as bad as the high mileage ones. You might recognise the C5 RS6 from previous videos. We had the engine out of this, we fitted new turbos, new intercoolers, new timing chains, new tensioners, absolutely everything while the engine was out, it was done. It is now back with us because it might need the engine to come out again. But we're going to ignore that for now and concentrate on the B7 RS4. So like I said, this is super low mileage, 34,000 miles, only ever been at main dealer Audi, but from personal experience, I've found that is not always a good thing. Audi seem to rely on their service schedules purely on mileage. They don't go for year intervals. We've seen it before that fuel filters haven't been changed because of the mileage, spark plugs haven't been changed because of the mileage. So it'll be interesting to see the inside and out of this one. It does run really nice. It's got a little bit of smoke on startup. It is really common for the carboning up of the inlets. It just breathes a bit heavy and comes out the exhaust. So let's get this one on the ramp and we'll get to the RS6 a little bit later. So first things first, of course, as always, let's wrap it up. Better. And you've seen me take the inlets off these a million times before. Apparently, it's never been off before, so I'll be able to check by a few clips. So let's pop this off. So I've got everything undone, and I'm pretty definitely certain that this inlet has never been off before. None of the pipes. I don't think anything has ever been done in this engine bay before. All the little telltale signs were covered. And for me, a little RS4 geekiness, this was all covered up. But I've never seen a cable tie on there before. Usually they're snipped off. So that is original from the factory. So we've got all our little bits. And another telltale, usually the first thing people do to get this cable tie off is to snip it. That's not how you do it. That clips into there. So that just pops off. So this is all factory, but it was really tough getting everything off. You can see all the bits are rusted. I've got the air filter out, and like I was saying earlier, I don't think this has met the Audi schedule, because if you look at the build date on this, 08, 09, 06, I'm pretty sure this is the original air filter from the car. So we'll get another one of them in, and then our inlet manifold bolts off, but you can see how corroded it all is. They're really creaky, and unfortunately, we've got a short one. So one of our inlet manifold bolts has snapped off. Hopefully, when the inlet comes off, there'll be enough to get it out. It's that one there, and we can replace that. But we've got all our bits off at the back. We're ready to lift this out and have a look at these valves. So with a bit of help, this should come off. We've just got our breathers at the front to disconnect. And out it comes. So here are our swell flaps, looking a bit grotty down in there. Let's have a look and get a good shot. They're not really too bad. It's more oily than anything. But what I want to see is our snapped bolt, which is there. It's got a little bit sticking out. We might be able to get it. So let's get these spacers out and have a look at it all. Just taking out all the spacers. So let's have a look in these valves. So it's not horrendous. It is quite oily down in there. We'll get all them cleaned up. They all look quite similar. Not the worst we've ever seen. And there is our snapped bolt. So we've got a little bit sticking out. I'll see if I can heat that up a bit. Get some WD down there and hopefully we'll get that out, because these are drilled at a funny angle. Because the bolts come down from the top, they're actually drilled at that angle, even though the face is at that angle. So it's going to be quite difficult if we do have to drill it out, but it's got to come out one way or the other, so we'll solve that problem. I've got to take all the injectors out as well to test them, so we'll get them out of the way. It's just easier to do the carbon clean with them out. You can see down that one, it is a little bit clumpy in there. And I've got the plugs out as well, and to be honest, they don't look like they've been changed any time recently. They're not in great condition. So I had a look at the fuel filter, and if we look at the date on there, we have another 2006. So this is the original air filter and the original fuel filter. And when I tipped this out and what fuel came out that was being filtered, it was really brown. So everything that had come from the tank had all collected in the filter. So this is a 20-year-old fuel filter on there as well. And what I mean by the dates, if we look at our new oil filter, they have production dates on them. So here's our new oil filter. And I don't know if you can see, that's got 11th of the 3rd, 25. So that was made in March this year. So although it's not an exact science, that gives you a pretty good indication when the bits were built. So the fact that these have got 2006 and 2006, I'd say they are original to the car. So as you can see, I'm all wrapped up now. But that snapped bolt wasn't the end of my woes, because as you can see, we've still got 5 injectors still in the head. I've been trying to get these out, but they're seized in. You can't really lever them because they're only plastic, so I've got them soaking at the minute. So we're going to work around them and do the carbon clean. Hopefully we can get these out and tested. If we have to lever them out, there's a possibility they might break, and they're not cheap to replace. So we'll speak to the customer and see what route he wants to go down with them. But let's get this carbon clean going. So we made a start and they are cleaning up nicely. You can see the valves much better now. And it was surprising how bad it actually was, because you can see how clumpy it is there on the valve stem. You can see it all on the top of the valve. And now we've got down to the valve stem how small it should be. We'll carry on, get these spanking, and then we'll turn it over and get on to the other 4. And all done. Looking much better, as you can see. So now it's all open, all clean, and all spotless. That's the first 4 done. Now we've got to take the tape off, turn the engine over, and do the other 4. And with the tape off, we can see a before and after. As you can see, there's quite a big difference visually, but also in the size. You can see how much room there is across the valves there. But as we go across, how gunked up it is on the valve stems. Which does make quite a big difference. You can see how big that valve stem is and how big it should be. So let's get these ones done as well. And we are all done. We are looking factory fresh. So much more room around the back of the valve now. Now it's not all clumped up. And looking spanking and clean. Very nice. Turned out this one was on the right cycle. I just taped it up last time, so I could do that before I rotate the engine. So now I'm going to take off this tape and we'll have a full set. And there we are, all done, looking perfect. All 8 cylinders, nice and clean. What this does now mean is I need to address this bolt and try and get that out. So after a lot of careful drilling later, we now have a thread back in the hole. Even when I drilled it all the way through, so there was nothing left of the old bolt, it still wouldn't come out of the thread, so that corroded into the aluminium. So I did have to drill it out and put a time set in, but Audi had the bolts on the shelf as well, so now we are all good to go. And with the time cert in there, it's actually better than factory. And if that had have happened to Audi, which it would have done if they took the inlet manifold off and that snapped the stud in there, I don't think they would have gone through that. They would have just condemned the head, said it needs a new cylinder head, which would be engine out, split the gearbox, timing chains off. Most probably recommend the timing chains being replaced while they're there. That could have escalated into a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 pound job. But we've got it out and we are ready to go. So with that done, I've now stripped the inlet manifold out and done the D-flap. We've knocked out all the core plugs, which means we can get to the little screws and take the flaps out. It's the screws that are the problem. They are known to fall out and then be sucked through the engine, so we just got them out. Usually what we do is clean the core plugs and then refit them with a bit of Loctite, but we have found a source of new core plugs from the aptly named Core Plugs International. So these are 12mm core plugs. So we will Loctite these as well, and that just saves reusing the old ones because they are a taper, so every time you press them out that does squish the taper a bit, which we've never had a problem before, and we do Loctite them in. But now we've got these ones, that's going to be a much better job. So I'll Loctite them in as well. Just got to clean just the inside. The main plenum chamber is all right, not any carbon in there. And there's no oil or anything in the bottom. So it's just going to be a case of cleaning up these ports. This side all done. Looking nice and clean all the way across. Now let's do the same to this side. And all back together, looking nice and clean and tidy. Down all the ports now, we've got our brand new core plugs in. This is the first time we've used them. I managed to find the correct size. Usually we do reuse them, but that makes a much better job. So just before the inlet goes on, we've just got the new PC valve. This is one of the things that we put the carbon in up to, so we always do replace it because we think that is what is letting the vapours through. So we'll get that on. PCV valve all on, and I've put all the injectors back in. We had a little chat with the customer about which route to take. He's well aware of the problems that these injectors can have, but they are about £2,500 for a set. So to replace them just for the sake of it is a big lot of money. Now we know we can get the inlet off within an hour, so if there is any problems in the future, it's not too much labour to get to the injectors. We just normally service them as they're off, but we can't get these ones out. And if I do try and get them out, they are definitely going to break. There's no fault code stored. All the spark plugs seem to show the same burn, so we're going to leave them in there for now. So that's going to be fuel rails on, all the new manifold gaskets on. Let's take one last look at these pristine valves in there. Looking as good as new. So with that all prepped and ready, let's get this inlet manifold all back together. So everything is now bolted in, everything is clipped in to all its correct places, all sitting as per factory. Every little clip is in its slot. You've got these little yellow lines that line up with the edge of the casing. We've got our little cable tie clip that sits in there. Everything is routed as per factory, so no one even knows I'm here. So we've just got the intake to do and the air filter. So I've got the air filter out of the box, and now you can see the difference between a 20-year-old filter and a brand new filter. So that's what it should look like. Nice and clean in the pleats, unlike this one. But I couldn't leave this job without at least one Super On signature. Get it in the box, and no one will even know. All the pipes are now on, so I've just cycled the fuel pump a few times because we had the filter off with the rails off, so they're all empty. See if it'll start. Ah, push button start, hold on. It's alive! So we'll let that settle itself down. I'll get it fully warmed up and then we'll dump the oil out and do the oil change. I don't think we're going to see a date on the oil filter, but hopefully that's been done in these years. So we'll let this warm up and then finish off the service. So we are all up to temperature, fans are kicked in, everything is cool. So I've just taken the oil filter out and pleasantly surprised that it has had an oil filter. 1st of the 7th, 21, and really does look very, very clean. So that's a good sign. So let's get the new one on, dump the oil out. Just gone underneath to change the oil, and quite peculiar, the sump nut is a Torx. They're usually always an Allen key like that, and every one I've ever seen is an Allen key like that. But this one is a Torx, but we'll be putting the correct one back in. So let's dump the oil as it's nice and warm. It's going to be hot. And thin. Check. Got the last of the covers on, got the duct on, and give it all a nice little clean up, and that is looking fantastic. Even better than when it came in. So now we can get it unwrapped. So looking underneath, it's had the same job that I did on another car not so long ago. It's had all the DRC lines and flexies replaced. So it's got new rear DRC shocks. You can just see the two lines there, just see them peeping through. And they also run all the way down the car, popping out here. So it has got new DRC lines front to back, corner to corner. It's got new flexies on the front. It looks like the original shocks. New flexies this side, and again you can see the shiny pipe, and that runs all the way under, and they all join together at the back. You can just see it up there. So the whole of the rear subframe would have been down, the fuel tank, the exhaust, everything would have been off to replace those lines. So that is a job that shouldn't need to be done again. The DRC should be long standing on this. Right, let's get it on the floor, give it a test drive. Right, let's take this out for a little quick test drive, just to make sure everything's all right. Obviously in such low mileage cars, we don't want to put too many miles on them, but we always give them a little check around the block. So this is a really nice spec car, got all the RS4 essentials, got the wing backs, got the flat bottom steering wheel, and most importantly, we're still retaining the DRC. So even around these bumpy countryside roads, we are still nice and smooth, but still giving great handling. Exactly what the DRC should be doing. I didn't drive this before, but when the owner gets it back, he should notice quite a difference. With the carbon clean, now the valve and inlet ports are so much bigger, his fresh new air filter and fuel filter, this should breathe a lot better. And for normally aspirated V8, these do go really, really well. Really revvy engines and sound great, even in standard form. All they need is to be kept well maintained and keep those ports open. Otherwise, it's just like your 50cc moped with its little restrictor in. So let's get this back to the workshop, get it tidied up, ready for the owner to collect and enjoy. Right, on to the RS6. So this is the super rare special order colour Nagaro Blue C5 RS6. You've seen many times on the channel. We had the engine out, we went top to bottom, did literally everything. But it is back with us with a problem, and in fact, an oil leak. This is not the first time I've had to almost take the engine out for an oil leak, because remember, we fitted the new Febby tensioners and we had a brand new failed part in the casing. It was leaking out oil. So I had to strip it down again, replace the brand new tensioner. Luckily, it was all covered under warranty, and it went back to the customer. Everything was happy. The owner then sold the car to someone else, and he was happy for a while. But from what I can gather, there was a small little problem with the oil pressure sensor. So he thought, oh, I can just about see that. I'll take that out. No big deal. On a regular car, changing an oil pressure sensor is just a one spanner job. But on this, things escalated. So this is how it come to us, with some bits removed, and the oil pressure switch is just down there. You can just see it into that little block, but that block is not actually attached. You can see it's loose, and the hole in it is for a banjo bolt. This banjo bolt, so it's a double banjo, and then bolts into the oil cooler oil housing on the side. But when they've done this up, they've pulled the threads out of the oil cooler. The bolt does look okay, but the housing is aluminium and it's pulled the threads out. So that is where the problem is. And I don't think we can get down to there. So in reality, the engine should come out again. It's an M10x1, so we have been running it through and we have kind of got a good thread in there, and it is looking quite hopeful. But the bit that the bolt has pulled out is no good. So what our plan B has been is, from Goodrich, we have found a longer banjo. So what we're hoping, because this is longer, there's still a lot of good threads still in the housing, so we should be able to latch onto them. Because if we have to try and tap that mount, it is going to be engine out. So I was having very little luck from the top, so I've come underneath. I've taken the big mount that supports there, and there, and that holds the engine mount. Just like that one there. Oh, you can see I've still got my near side engine mount right on there. Everything's marked still. But I've got it all off. You can just see up there. That's where we need to get to, but there's no way of getting a hand in there. So I'm going to try and get this engine mount off now, but it's not being very helpful at the minute. I've just got to struggle on, and hopefully I can get both hands up in there and get that off. And the other problem, everything under here is covered in oil. So I don't know what stage they got to, whether they put a new one in, it didn't seal, they put a new switch in, didn't seal. I don't know what's going on. All I know, it's been run, it's poured out of oil, and there's no threads left in the housing. So hopefully, obviously, I won't have to take the engine out, but a big advantage with this compared to the RS4 that had never been touched before, I've had every single nut, bolt and washer out of this, and it all will come apart pretty easily, and I can drop the engine out with not too much hassle. So again, that is one good thing about having a car that's had loads of work done on it, that's been regularly serviced, instead of a car that just sits there doing nothing. Things do just get seized up, like you saw on the RS4. This should be a lot easier. But like I say, that is going to be a last resort. I'm going to get it down, see if we can get this engine mount and see if I can get two hands up there and try and wiggle my way in. I have been fudging around down here for what seems like an eternity. I've been from the top, I've been from the bottom. I tried getting that engine mount out, which seems like it is impossible with the engine in place. I've tried lowering the engine, but that doesn't work. I've been all angles possible. But then, through one stroke of blind luck, I just managed to get it started on my fingertips. Just one thread, two thread, and now I'm in. And I've just done it up with the spanner. I think we are in. If I take the ramp up now and I see a copper washer sitting on the floor, I'm going to be gutted. But I think we are all okay. I'll give it a check from the underneath. I'll check the oil level. And then we'll try and start it and see if all the oil stays inside the engine. Everyone, fingers crossed. Right, you can see our new banjo bolt just there. And that's our new oil pressure switch. So let's give it a go. So it's not very happy because it hasn't got his intercooler pipe on, but we are not leaking any oil. I think we've got away with it. Oil pressure light is out. Cold start's over. It is struggling a bit because the boost pipe's not on, so the airflow meter readings are going through the roof. But we are oil tight and the engine stayed in. Oh, right, I'm going to get the boost pipe on, get the other bits and pieces on, and then run it up properly. Early signs, great success. All back together under here and oil free. If we can just see the oil pressure sensor up there. No drips, that union's all good. We can go back on the floor. Bit of oil burning off the manifold there. That's all old oil. No oil leaks at all. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And all back together and purring, running sweet, no oils leaks. Let's get it off the ramp and let's go for a little test drive, and then we can sign this one off as well. Right, now it's the RS6, it's time for a little test drive. So as I said in the previous RS6 videos, I am super jealous of this because I have got one of these as well, and driving that around and then getting in this is so much better. With the brand new turbos, the brand new gearbox, the brand new torque converter, the Wagner intercoolers, and this one has got a remap as well. This is so much faster than mine. The gearbox is so nice and tight, whereas mine's about 100,000 miles. You can definitely tell the difference. The seats feeling a little better conditioned than mine as well when you're sitting in the same place. But between the Nagaro Blue and the Daytona Pearl, I think I'll still stick with my Daytona. But we'll just take this for a quick run, make sure everything gets up to temperature. Back safe and sound, and completely dry down there. So that has solved that problem. Well, I think we can wrap this up as a successful episode. We've got everything sorted on the RS4. The carbon clean was quite interesting considering how low mileage it is. It was still just as coked up as all the other ones we see on the channel. And we managed to fix the RS6 without taking the engine out. So great success all round. So that is going to wrap up this episode. We have got some more jobs that we've found to do on the RS4. The oil cooler is going to need replacing in the not too distant future. All the fittings and lines aren't looking great under there. and a few more little jobs. He was talking about getting the subframe redone, so we may see this one again on the channel. Hopefully we're not going to see the RS6 anytime soon again, but even if we do, won't be a problem because I absolutely love this car. Love the colour, love the car, love the interior. Gladly see this one again. But fingers crossed, not for any oil leaks. So make sure you give this video a like. Be sure to tune in next time where we'll have something completely different. But until then, make sure you have fun.